I didn't mean to stare. But there was something about the way she stood in the doorway, one hand on the frame, robe half tied, the afternoon light catching the edge of her collarbone, that made time slow down. "Late again," she said, voice low, not angry. Just, tired. Like she'd said it too many times before, but this time it meant something else. I held the envelope in my hand, empty. My paycheck was still 2 days away. "I know," I said. "I'll get it to you by Friday, I promise." She looked at me for a beat too long. The air in her apartment was warm, faintly scented with coffee and some perfume that lingered like a memory I couldn't place. Her hair was still damp from a shower, a few strands curling at her neck. "You always say that," she murmured, stepping aside. "Come in." I shouldn't have. But I did. Her place was quiet, too quiet for the hour. Curtains half drawn. A single mug on the table. A folded newspaper that hadn't been touched. It was the kind of stillness that made you lower your voice without knowing why. She moved past me, brushing my shoulder in that accidental way that wasn't accidental at all. "Coffee?" "Sure." I watched her from the table while she poured it. The robe slipped slightly when she reached up to grab a mug. She noticed me noticing, but didn't pull it tighter, just handed me the cup, eyes steady, a faint half-smile that didn't reach them. "So," she said, sitting across from me. "You're behind 2 weeks now." 1.5, I said, trying to sound lighter than I felt. "I can," her hand lifted slightly, stopping me. "You don't have to explain. I know how it is." Silence filled the space between us. Not uncomfortable, just full. She traced a circle on her mug with one fingertip, not looking at me. I couldn't stop watching her hand. "You work hard," she said. "You're polite. You don't bring noise." I like that. I didn't know what to say, so I nodded. Then she looked up, and it hit me like a current. That look wasn't from a landlady. It wasn't even from someone trying to collect rent. It was something else. Something she wasn't ready to name, and neither was I. She tilted her head slightly, eyes searching my face like she was waiting for a sign that she wasn't imagining it. "Sometimes," she said, voice soft now, "people help each other, in different ways." The words hung in the air. Not suggestive, just heavy. I heard the faint sound of the clock ticking. My throat went dry. I started, but nothing came out. Her lips curved, not a smile but something close. "You look nervous." "I'm not," I lied. She laughed quietly, the sound warm but edged with something fragile. "You should be." For a second, she reached across the table, her hand brushing the back of mine. It was light, almost nothing, but it burned. The robe slipped again, just enough that she noticed and tied it tighter this time. Her movement slowed, deliberate, as if she just realized how far the moment had gone. "I'm not saying you owe me anything," she said, eyes lowering to her coffee. "I just don't like seeing good people struggle." Something in her tone, soft regret, maybe, made me feel like this wasn't about rent at all. Then, from the hallway, a sudden knock. Sharp. Unexpected. She froze. Our hands were still almost touching on the table. Another knock, louder this time. She stood, smoothing her robe, eyes flicking toward me with a look that said don't move. And before she reached the door, she whispered under her breath, barely loud enough to hear, "Let's not pretend that didn't happen." The knock turned out to be the mailman, a few envelopes, a polite apology, then gone again. But the moment had already cracked open something that wouldn't close. She didn't look at me right away when she came back. She stood by the door, sorting through the mail, pretending to read. Her fingers trembled once, just enough to show she wasn't as calm as she wanted me to think. "You should probably go," she said finally. "It's late." "It's 3 in the afternoon," I said, quietly. That made her smile, barely. "You know what I mean." I stood, unsure whether to move closer or give her space. Mrs. Hale, Clara, she corrected. I hesitated on the name. Clara. She exhaled, a sound that wasn't quite relief. Don't make it harder than it already is. Over the next week, I told myself I wouldn't think about it. But every time I came home from work, I found myself pausing at her door. Sometimes I'd hear her music playing faintly through the wall, older songs, soft and low, the kind that sound like they were written for empty rooms. I started fixing things around the building again, her faucet that dripped, a light bulb in the hallway, the hinge on her gate. She never asked me to, but she always noticed. One evening, when I was tightening a screw in her kitchen cabinet, she leaned on the counter beside me, closer than necessary. The faint smell of her lotion, citrus, warm, clean, made it hard to focus on the task. You do too much, she said, watching me work. I don't mind. Her voice softened. You remind me of someone I used to know. I looked up. Someone you miss? She met my eyes, steady this time. Someone who used to care too easily. The silence stretched. I could feel her breath near my cheek, close enough to blur my thoughts. I turned slightly, and for a moment, she didn't move away. The air between us felt suspended, like it could shatter with one word. But then she straightened, brushing invisible dust from her sleeve. You should take a night off, Daniel. Go out. You're too young to be wasting your evenings fixing an old woman's cabinets. You're not old, I said, too fast. Her eyes flickered, almost flinching. That's kind of you. There was something under that, something like pain. Maybe from being seen too clearly, or maybe from wanting to believe it. I didn't mean, I know what you meant. She smiled again, softer this time. You're sweet. That's dangerous. She turned away, opening a drawer just to have something to do. Her hand brushed mine as she reached past. Neither of us moved. For a heartbeat, her fingers stayed there, not holding, not pulling away, just there. When she finally spoke, it was barely above a whisper. You make it hard to remember why I built walls in the first place. And before I could answer, she stepped back, the moment dissolving, but not gone. Not gone at all. The storm came out of nowhere that night, a sudden crash of rain against the windows, the kind that made the whole building hum. The power flickered once, then died. I was halfway up the stairs when I saw light from her apartment, the glow of a single candle, her silhouette moving past the window. Before I could talk myself out of it, I knocked. Clara? The door opened a crack. She looked at me, candle in hand, hair loose around her shoulders. Lights are out, she said, as if I couldn't see that. I've got a flashlight, I said. Want me to check the breaker? She hesitated, then stepped aside. You can try. I already looked. Nothing. The room smelled faintly of wine and rain, windows cracked open, the sound of water sliding down the glass. I tried the switches. Nothing. Guess we're stuck in the dark, I said. She smiled faintly. Wouldn't be the first time. The air felt thick, too many things unsaid, too many seconds stretched too long. She poured me a glass from the bottle on the counter. It's Merlot, she said. Not great, but better than sitting here listening to the storm. I took it, our fingers brushing. She didn't move away this time. We sat on the couch, the candle between us flickering shadows across her face. It made her look younger for a moment, then older the next, the kind of beauty that comes from living too much, not too little. How long have you been here? I asked. 8 years. She took a sip. Moved in after my divorce. I thought I'd only stay a few months. I nodded, waiting. He was kind in the beginning, she said finally. Then not. I didn't know what to say. So I said nothing. The silence wasn't empty, it was full of the things she didn't say. When thunder rolled again, she flinched slightly. Reflex. Her hand brushed my arm as she steadied the candle. I covered it before I could think, my fingers closing over hers. Warm. Her eyes lifted, close enough that I could see the reflection of the flame in them. You should let go, she whispered. I know. Neither of us did. Then her phone buzzed on the table, sharp, loud. We both jumped. The screen lit up with a name I didn't recognize, Ellen. Clara reached for it too quickly, knocking the candle sideways. I caught it before it fell, hot wax splattering across my hand. She grabbed my wrist. You're burned, it's fine. It's not. She guided my hand toward the sink, running cool water over it. The space between us disappeared. Her hair brushed my cheek, her voice was right at my ear. You shouldn't be here, she said softly. People talk. I don't care. She turned off the water but didn't step back. Her fingers lingered at my wrist, her breath steady but shallow. Lightning flashed, and for a second, the whole room lit up, catching the truth on both our faces, fear, want, and something neither of us wanted to name. When the light faded, she still hadn't let go. Clara, I started. Don't, she said, voice trembling just enough to give her away. But she didn't move. And neither did I. The power came back sometime after midnight. Neither of us noticed. We were still in the kitchen, the candle burned to a stub between us. Her phone sat silent now, screen black. The rain had softened to a whisper against the glass. I should go, I said. You've been saying that for an hour, she replied. I smiled a little. And you've been letting me stay. She didn't answer. She just looked at me, steady, unreadable, and I saw it then, she wasn't avoiding the moment. She was holding it back, the way you hold a door when you're not sure what's on the other side. Why are you really here, Daniel? She asked. It's not the rent anymore. I didn't have an answer ready. Everyone I could think of sounded like a lie. I don't know, I said finally. I just keep ending up at your door. Her breath caught, a small, involuntary sound. You shouldn't. I know. For a while, the only sound was the faint hum of the refrigerator restarting, the quiet tick of the clock returning to life. Then she moved closer. Just one step, but it was enough. Her hand brushed the side of my arm, the touch so light I almost thought I'd imagined it. I told myself I was done needing anyone, she said, barely above a whisper. That wanting things only made a mess of what was left. I turned to face her. And now? Her eyes met mine, calm but shining. Now you're standing too close. Her words should have been a warning. Instead, they sounded like permission. I reached up, instinctively, brushing a strand of hair away from her cheek. My fingers lingered. She didn't move. You shouldn't do that, she said again, though her voice had lost its edge. I know, I said. But you're not stopping me. Her lips parted slightly, as if to argue, but no sound came out. The distance between us disappeared one heartbeat at a time. Her hand came up to my chest, not pushing, not pulling, just there, the warmth of it steady against my shirt. I'm not who you think I am, she said. I'm older. I've made mistakes. I don't want to be another one for you. I don't think that's what this is, I said. Do you? She closed her eyes, just for a second. When she opened them again, the walls she kept so carefully in place were gone. What was left was something raw, honest, almost afraid. Then came the sound, a sharp knock at the door. Not like before. This one had weight. We froze. Her hand stayed against me. My breath stalled in my throat. Don't move, she whispered. The knock came again. Louder this time. Whoever it was, they weren't leaving. And when she turned to look at me, her eyes said everything, whatever happened next, there was no going back. The knock didn't stop. 3 slow raps, then silence. Clara's eyes darted to the door, then to me. Her hand was still on my chest, and when she finally pulled it away, it left a cold trace behind. "Stay here," she whispered. She opened the door just a few inches. I caught a glimpse of a man's outline, middle-aged, soaked from the rain. "Clara," he said, voice low. "Familiar." She froze. "David?" My stomach dropped. "Her ex, I left my wallet here," he said. "You didn't answer your phone." Clara's tone shifted in an instant, careful, distant. "You shouldn't be here. I just need my things." His eyes flicked past her shoulder, to the candle, the 2 glasses, and then to me. He didn't say anything right away. Just a pause, heavy enough to choke the air. "This must be your tenant," he said finally. "The one who's always around." I took a step back, but Clara's hand brushed my arm, subtle, like a silent don't. "David, it's not," she began. He gave a small, knowing laugh. "You never could be alone for long." Something in her face cracked, regret, or maybe shame, quickly buried. "Take your wallet," she said flatly. "And go." He looked at her for a long time. "I hope he's worth the mess, Clara." When the door shut behind him, the silence roared. She leaned against it, exhaling, her body trembling just slightly. I wanted to reach for her, but I didn't. "Not yet." "He has no right to talk to you like that," I said quietly. She turned to me, eyes sharp. "He has every right. I was married to him for 15 years. That doesn't mean he still gets to." "You don't understand," she cut in. "He wasn't wrong." The words hit harder than I expected. She walked past me, hands gripping the counter. When things ended, I told myself I'd stop letting people get close. Stop pretending it doesn't hurt when they leave. And now, she stopped herself. Her breath came uneven, like she was fighting not to say too much. "And now I'm standing here," I finished. Her eyes lifted. "You shouldn't have seen that." "I wanted to." "That's exactly the problem." She turned away again, running her hands through her hair. The robe slipped from one shoulder before she caught it, tying it tighter. "I don't want to be a mistake you defend," she said. "And I don't want to be something he was right about." I took a step closer. Then another. "Clara." She didn't move, didn't look at me, just said, quietly, "You make me feel like I'm still allowed to want things. That's dangerous." "Maybe it's what you need," I said. She turned then, sudden, searching, and the space between us vanished again. Her hand found my shirt, gripping it, steadying herself more than pulling me closer. For a moment, she looked at me like she was about to say no. Then, almost breaking, she whispered, "If you stay tonight, don't pretend it means nothing." And before I could answer, the lights flickered once more, and went out. The lights were gone again, the room painted in half-darkness. Rain whispered against the glass, soft now, steady. Clara stood at the window, arms folded tight, her reflection barely visible. I could see the tremor in her shoulders, the tension in how still she was trying to stay. "You don't have to," I said quietly. She turned, startled by how close my voice was. I hadn't meant to move toward her, but I had. We were only a breath apart now. "Don't have to what?" she asked. "Pretend you don't feel it too." Her eyes searched mine, tired and bright all at once. "You think it's that simple?" "No," I said. "But I think it's real." For a long moment she didn't speak. Her hand lifted halfway, as if to touch me, then stopped in midair. "You don't know what you're asking for," she whispered. "I've already built a life around keeping quiet." "I'm not asking for anything," I said. "Just, don't lie to me." She let out a sound between a laugh and a sigh. "You always say the one thing I can't answer." I took a slow step closer, close enough to feel her breath when she exhaled. Then don't answer. Her hand came to rest on my chest. A heartbeat passed, hers, mine, too close to tell apart. You make me feel ridiculous, she said softly. How? Like I'm 20 again. Like I could still ruin everything and not care. Her words hung there, fragile and dangerous. The distance between us vanished. My hand found the side of her face, her skin was warm, her jaw tight beneath my fingers. She leaned into the touch, eyes closing for half a second, the smallest surrender. Clara, I whispered. Don't, she breathed. If you say my name like that, I won't stop. Neither of us moved. The rain filled the silence. Then, almost without thought, she rested her forehead against mine. A shiver ran through both of us. Everything that had been building, the glances, the pauses, the hesitation, condensed into that single point of closeness. It wasn't a kiss. It was the moment before one, stretched thin, alive with everything we couldn't say. She pulled back just enough to look at me. If we start this, she said, we don't get to pretend afterward. Not about what it means, not about what it costs. I know. She studied me for a long second, then smiled, sad, honest. Then we're already in it, aren't we? Her hand slipped down, catching mine. No words left to save either of us. We stood there, the storm fading, the room still. And in the quiet, it was clear, whatever line we'd been guarding was gone. They both knew it. Neither would say it aloud. But for the first time, nothing between them was a lie. Morning came quiet. No storm, no hum of rain, just the still air after too many truths. Clara was already up when I opened my eyes. She stood by the stove, hair tied up, wearing an old sweater that didn't quite match the calm in her face. She looked different. Lighter somehow, but also distant, as if she'd stepped just far enough back from the edge to see what it was. You sleep at all? I asked. She turned, smiled faintly. A little. You snore. I laughed, rubbing the back of my neck. That's one way to ruin the mystery. There shouldn't be any mystery, she said, but her tone was soft. For a few minutes, neither of us spoke. The smell of coffee filled the kitchen, the window light pale and new. She handed me a mug, fingers brushing mine just briefly, and even that small contact had weight now. Everything did. I kept thinking last night, she said, sitting across from me, about what happens when the world looks at us. I nodded. They'll talk. They always do, she said. But not about you. About me. I looked up. Then let them. You've lived your life on everyone else's terms long enough. She smiled at that, small, genuine. You sound older than you are. Maybe I just stopped pretending not to care. Her expression shifted, softening. You think I care too much? I think you protect yourself by pretending to. For a second she looked ready to argue, then she just sighed. You see too much, Daniel. Only what you let me. The quiet between us wasn't the same as before. It wasn't loaded, or afraid. It felt steady. Present. She reached across the table, taking my hand. Her touch wasn't uncertain this time. I don't know where this goes, she said. And I don't want promises you'll regret making. I'm not going anywhere, I said simply. Her eyes flickered, like that was both exactly what she wanted and what she feared most. Then she squeezed my hand, slow and deliberate. You make it sound easy. It isn't, I said. But it's honest. For the first time, she didn't look away. She stood, moving around the table until she was beside me. I rose too, instinctively. She reached up, fingers brushing my cheek, and pressed a soft kiss to my forehead, quiet, steady, full of everything we hadn't dared say aloud. Then we'll start there, she whispered. I nodded. Start. Not over. Just, forward. Outside, the morning light caught the last drops of rain sliding off the windowpane. She turned toward it, her shoulder brushing mine. The rent, she said, with a half-smile. Paid in full, I said. And we both laughed, quiet, unguarded, something new threading through the sound. No promises. No perfect endings. Just two people, sitting close, hands still joined, learning what it meant to stay.